for the people who need translation in German, there are devices here. We have 7 of them. So 7 people can listen in German. The rest of you can go fuck yourself, apparently. So, sorry. I forgot. There are kids in this room, Ozzy, behave. Jesus Christ. Starting great, going great here. I would repeat that in German as well. Oh, there are more kids, amazing. Did you tell your kids that I'm gonna moderate? So, für die Leute, die Übersetzung auf Deutsch brauchen, es gibt Dolmetschergeräte oder wie heißt das, whatsoever. Wir haben noch 4 Stück hier und ja. Wir fangen jetzt an mit den Artist Talk. We start with the Artist Talk with Roza, who is sitting beside me. What was going on? We start with the... Interesting, we are hearing you. Yeah. But it sounds like we planned this. Yeah, we are still hearing. It's also like a little bit intimate. Can you talk a bit more? Yeah, it's just... Yeah, just... How was your day?
It was good, actually. I had another interesting talk,
Mm-hmm.
which was very good. Couldn't have been more good.
What was it about?
It was export control.
I'll wait for this one.
Of weapons or what? Including weapons. Because it's nice because we would talk about it soon at some point. I mean, anyhow, we would talk about exports because that's a very good connection to your piece. But not that I don't want to hear you, but I think it would not work if you would... Perfect. We fix this. I should have wished for money. So, we are starting with the talk. I'm very happy that you're sitting here with us. And as usual, you have to push the button and hold it till the... There is one button somewhere. You will find it, yeah. As usual, what we do is that you have to explain to the audience for 2 minutes who you are. And then I would add stuff that I think is important about you. So the time starts now.
I'm Roza with Z, not S. And I guess that's it. I'm a choreographer. No, I'm joking. But first of all, I'm Roza. And beside that, I'm a choreographer. I studied in Oslo, both my bachelor and my master's. And the piece you saw was the first real professional thing I made in 2018, right after my graduation. And yeah, I have curly hair normally, I think. Yeah.
I must say I got inspired by you, so I also brought a scarf today, but I didn't put it on because I was like, it's a bit weird. But should I do it?
Yes, because we have also that one.
Yeah, you have the same?
Yes, I do.
Well, let's talk about it.
Should we talk about it?
No, her microphone went out right after talking about it.
I do have the same scarf.
But I wear it as a headband,
Yeah.
like a bit, so it looks a bit...
That's what I try to do.
Yeah, it seems like it, but it also feels like you're hiding your hair, which is sometimes the concept of headscarf. But so what is important about you for me is that you are very chill. We talked yesterday for like an hour and a half, and very good stuff came out. And I think the most important thing is that Roza has a Roomba at home, which is this electronic device that cleans your flat. And it works because they have organized it, you have organized your flat in a way that it can go everywhere. And that is important because Roza has a background in interior design. And that you see kind of also in the piece, but you also don't see that in the piece. But this is also one of our connection points, and I think that's very important. Roza also has a child, I have not seen the baby yet. Is the baby here? No?
I had to use the privilege of my partner asking them to take care so I could focus and talk with you because I'm very new in this role. I don't know how to really handle it. I'm working on it.
It's a work in progress like everything else here. So that being said, you want to say something at the beginning? Do you want to start it now?
Yes. I wrote it down, so I'm sure I'm doing it correct. Well, first of all, this is my first time in Berlin performing. And thank you, Tanzpol, for making it possible. I'm really glad to be here. While I'm glad to share my work with you all here in Berlin, I want to acknowledge the genocide happening at the same time while we are sitting in the film. And also I want to express my solidarity with the people of Palestine and my colleagues being oppressed in Germany. And from now on, for the rest of this talk, we can talk about bouncing narratives. The rest I know. So.
Yeah, we did not script the rest. I can show you, this is like what I wrote yesterday. I just doodled a bit because the talk was very fun. But believe me, I have lots of questions. So do you want to start with, shall we just start right off the bat with the piece? Or would you rather talk about how you started making this piece? Okay, what was the point that you decided that I want a container?
Well, we needed to work on the gap in the movement. And I thought the gap in the movement for me is when the dancer is on the air. At least for me, I don't know, I'm not a ballerina, so when I jump, I don't have like 110% control when I'm on the air. I have heard that some people have that kind of control. I don't. So, yes. And then I wanted the audience to embody this feeling of especially landing, because it's quite violent when you land. And if you don't know, you're gonna, during the time, especially if you do it and repeat it while jumping, you will injure your knees. And yeah, it's kind of a violent act for the body. So we were looking for a way to make this physically touchable for the audience somehow. And then we decided in a point that we need to have the audience under the jump to see this happening. And then we went through okay, what is the surface you can have people under it? Is it plexi? Is it many things? And I like ordinary objects. I like objects that are everywhere, are surrounding us. And I like also objects that are associated with they are made to make you happy. Like they're extreme in a violent way. They're like, you should be happy on this. And then then trampoline came to the mind. And then there was a trampoline park, which we also go with Uda and Marit sometimes. On the way there is this container parking. We needed something stable, something that is like, can hold the trampoline. I was like, container. And then it was container. They are exactly the same size. Mm-hmm. That was the connection. Yeah, practical.
You said it in a way like, and Jesus said, let there be containers. And then you took containers for that.
Well, not Jesus, but I normally work I never work alone. Mm-hmm. That's a conscious choice. I work collectively with people because basically, first of all, I like to hear the echo of my thoughts. When I talk with people, I feel there is this echo that is coming back to me, and that I think is more interesting than what I think. And this was also a collaborative piece with many people, so I'm sure the container has been also in this echo in the room somewhere, bouncing, and come to mind also. But also, if I want to be honest, it is also related to the interviews that we had at the beginning of the piece, conceptually.
What were the interviews? Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, Shahrzad came to me in 2018 because she studied at the same art school that I did.
Shahrzad is...
Shahrzad Malekian is my collaborator in this piece. And she wondered if we could work together around this interview that she had gathered from people. She asked the question of, can you tell me one traumatic experience in your life? And there was hours and hours and hours of interview, people talking about their traumatic experiences. I listened to them and I said, sorry, I don't think this is something I can do. It's, first of all, very personal. And secondly, I think by repeating these stories and making them public, you kind of reduce the importance of them for the people who are telling these stories. I didn't know how to care for the stories. So, and then we talked a little more. And when people are talking about something traumatic, there is always some pauses when they don't know how to put things in words, like you miss your word, you don't know what to say. And that's the time the gap came in. There was the gap in the narrative. Voila.
Voila. Perfect. You talked about ordinary items, and I think also another ordinary thing is spaces that we go to often. So this container is kind of like not plug and play, it's just plugged already. You just put it somewhere, place and play maybe. Where do you place it usually, or what are the locations that you usually look for to put it there? What are the criterias, and how often did you tour with it already? So,
okay. As this, yeah, it's many questions, but like, we toured with it a lot. We have been touring with it every year since 2019. Not 2020. We had 26 cancellations in 2020. And then after that, we have been just touring and touring and touring. Everywhere, basically. We haven't reached, South Europe yet. There has been a discussion about Canada and China. Like, there is this. China wanted to make their own version, of course, and that's. They wanted to make a copy. They wanted to make a copy, but they couldn't pay the dancers as I wished, so we didn't agree on that.
Do you want to talk about it, or do you think we should?
I mean, I don't know. There is something called China Dance Program. I think it's more political agreement with different countries that they sell culture to each other. It's like, I buy carpet from you, but not from you. And Norway has this with China. They sell fish to China and art. My art was one of them. They wanted to buy and make a new container, and I don't know, this is so incorrect. I don't know how to put it, but then they said we can hire 2 Russian dancers. So they look like your dancers.
That was the deal breaker, or was that the...
That was
price?
the first thing I was like, holy, who am I talking to? And then they wanted to make the piece shorter so the audience don't get bored. But that's my main material burden. So I didn't want to do that. And and they wanted to pay the dancers. I mean, like, something funny. I would get rich.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought
Not that.
after that I should start selling cars instead of making art, because it's like, I don't know, it was so wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're using a container which is used for exporting stuff, so your art is in it. I think
Yeah.
that's how it got the connection. But short question before going forward: your dancers, performers, how do you identify them?
Well, this is an important thing about this piece. This was made right after my graduation. It was not like the whole world was waiting for me to make something great. So I had limited choices. There was Trine Lisa Moa. She went to the school at the same time with me, and we worked together for my graduation. And I'm not patient. I need things to happen now. So I told her that I'm gonna give choreography 6 more months, and after that, if it's not working, I'm gonna give it up. So me and Trine sat down and wrote many applications together in that 6 months and worked in the studio together. Since then, we were lucky. We got all the 6 applications at the same time. We were lucky.
Like a fairy tale.
Yeah, I know. I still can't believe it, because all of them were crazy. And then since then, I have been working with her. She's, I don't know, I can't work alone. I don't know. I'm not great mind. Or I don't want to be. So now she is very popular. And she couldn't join us here. Then I was lucky to have Uda replacing her, and Marit is replacing another dancer that I worked with. They were basically the dancers that wanted to invest on me without having money at the beginning. And that's it. And they are great, both of them. Trine and Gerd Kajsa, both of them great dancers, and I'm very lucky to have them in my life, and even more lucky. I have worked with Uda several times, with Marit in other projects. And the choice of dancers for this specific performance was, they were there before the performance. And after a while, we recognized that we cannot dancers that are bigger than this and this because of the composition of the. So we wanted to replace Trine with another dancer. I had to put this advertisement out because I wanted to be open and not go and choose someone. But it looked like this ballet company from 1800th century. We need a dancer who is 160 and his weight like this and can go inside the costume because we don't have money to make more costume. And basically, if the weight is not balanced, the other one would be a bim, bam. So you don't want that.
I asked that because I wanted to give a microphone to you two. You don't have to talk, but if you had like the feeling you want to add something, you have a microphone. I will get it from you at some point because we would give the microphone around so the audience can ask that too, but there's a microphone here with you. But then maybe we can talk about the trampoline shortly, since you mentioned that. Who helped you in making this structure? And also, I think like, did the festival have like security check with you of like if the trampoline works or not? Did the Germans do German, or like how did that work?
I would say in England they were the most strict ones. Yes, they are crazy about security, but then Pavel is checking the security each time. The thing about the trampoline is that they are made to not. I mean, the possibility of people falling down is close to zero, because then you need
never zero.
Yeah, never zero, of course. But then you need all the springs to fall off at the same time. Even if 4 of them keep, they will not fall. So no, and there is not much that. But then there's a technician called Carl Love. They work in Dansens Hus as a house technician there. When I wanted to make this crazy project, I asked who can, agree with me to do that. Everyone in Oslo said him. So. And I'm making a new piece together with Carl and with a musician from this piece, actually, coming up in October, called Songs of Chaos.
Songs of Chaos.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe we go to the space again now.
Yeah.
What are the criteria of the spaces you keep in mind for placing your container?
We wanted the container to be in between areas. So like in Oslo, we placed it between the highway and the opera. There is this pathway. It's a very strange spot. It was a no man land, basically, the space that normally no one wants to be or perform. That was my wish. All the institutions, they wanted in a center of the city where the most people can see it. So after that, we are just in the center, very center. I was telling Ashkan that this is the most peaceful place we have been visiting.
Are you happy about it, or is that annoying?
I think Oda and Marit are very happy because they can focus and they can hear the music actually. But I mean, the music is made for city, so it would help to have city noises around. And many times when we visit the cities, I see neighbors coming with their blanket, sometimes a teacup. I see children coming, playing around with the ropes. We have had wedding photos with the ropes. And we have had people who don't want to see art just touching it because they couldn't control themselves to not touch it. The rope. That's actually documented on the video. It's quite funny. There's a person passing, looking other way, and then touching the rope with a little finger pass. And that's maybe what I love most.
But you design it to be like that, right?
Yes. I like I enjoy working a lot, and that's why I work a lot. And I want to share my joy with the people who watch it. So I want to share this desire of, and then when I see people connecting with this piece, when I see not my intellectual friend only are interested in this, I get really like, maybe that's why I should continue. Because otherwise I don't know why, really. We talked about this yesterday. I think it's so many good arts that are out there. Like, if I want to share with my friend, I would just make a copy of my favorites and share it with them. A little better. But then I enjoy being this strange person of art with a desire of being publicly acceptable, at least. I'm not sure if they like it or not. This is a dream. I wish. I hope. I have heard that my work is too serious or too, I don't know, too long or too repetitive for public to enjoy. But my desire is to communicate with the... And also, there is something about working in the public space. I go to the people's backyard and put a big thing there. It's a little strange if they hate it. It feels like... Can I use the word? It feels like occupation. It feels like... I
but
think
you take it away at some point, so you give the land
thank
back.
you. Because seriously, I think there should be a respect when you enter because theater is okay. There is an agreement between me and the audience. This is theater. You never know what's going to happen. Tada. That's it. And they are like, for example, in Oslo, if nobody goes to Black Box because it's just the strangest stuff. Just artists go there. And then, but when you're in the street, you are kind of using what is belonging to the collective body of a city. And I believe there is a respect there. We have another piece that when we are touring, we are not announcing the piece, but we are sending written letters to the neighbors that we are borrowing your neighborhood in this day, in this hour. Hope you can join us. And yeah, it comes probably because you mentioned that I like my home very tidy. And I also like my neighborhood very tidy. So.
I noticed. But also, are there graffiti artists in Norway? Because
Yes, a lot actually.
how do you put a container and there's no tag on it? Like,
Okay, we had a wish, we had a hope. We keep it, I mean, it was like, should we color it? Should we not color it? Should we paint on it? It was a lot of discussion. And then like, no, we put it raw out there, leave it for the people to do it. Never happened.
well, you can leave it in Berlin for a week. And
Yeah, but later on, I didn't know that when I made it, but later on, when I read more about public space and the relation with the society and how art and society have this dialogue of, yeah, hate and love, basically going on, I learned that there is a thing in public space art that if people like something, they care for it. They may even call their municipality and tell them, this is getting destroyed, come and fix it. Or some people in Oslo, I don't know about here, maybe they wash their sculpture that is close to their neighborhood because they love it so much. Or like they care, they plant plants around it. But if they hate something, they will burn it down to the bone. I mean, like there is nothing no one can do about an object that the people decide we don't like this. It will be effed.
the kids are out anyhow. But I think actually it's quite interesting because you're taking a container, and container is like such an industrial thing. And I mean, surely we are in an industrial building that now is known as Ufer Studios, and lots of dancers come here and use it to make art. But nevertheless, when you're just having a blue container somewhere, it's like it's occupying, it's also really demanding attention. And somehow you manage to make this heartless metal something that people care about. And also, like, you made it very googly with like all these amazing things hanging from it on the outside.
Look at me.
Yeah, I mean, sure. It just really shows that you have also a background in fine arts or have friends who have that, who work with you. So it's quite an interesting achievement to tour with such a thing, and nevertheless, and also have this wish that, okay, if people just do things with it, it stays on it, and I'm not changing it. Just for legal reasons, if it got any graffiti on it, it's not me. I'm just talking my mind out, right?
Please do it pink.
Okay. I have to change the color.
But it's, I have to add something on that because, okay, it was a moment I decided when me and Trine were sitting and writing this first application. She was like, but Rosa, these budgets, I mean, it's the first application. Seriously, calm down. And I was like, I have no interest whatsoever to make something small. Because basically I am not the kind of Rosa who makes intimate solos as a woman. I thought at the moment that I need to, I like to demand my space. I like to be a little like, I'm coming. And also, you know, Rosa in Norwegian, some people call it Rosa, which is pink, but I am with Z. That's why it's googly. It's, I like to, I don't know, I was very obsessed with many big choreographers who did big projects, like many people, a lot of things happening. We talked about Wim van Dijk's. But then I was like, I need more if I'm going to do something that's like that. But then I was young. And then I keep this promise to myself and I just continue. So that's how it become a little like this.
To jump to the next topic, I want to also offer to jump and change our seats, because we talked yesterday that I always sit and look on the right, and now I notice that I need to sit and look at the left a bit. That's that. Also at the house that I work, my colleagues are sitting there and there, so I'm constantly looking at the right, and I just felt I need to look on the left side a bit. Now I can see you a bit better too. Do you want to talk about trauma?
Always.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, you do talk about trauma. Perfect. I was reminded when I was watching the piece. It's very like you're making such an intimate place, and you know it. And I'm not talking from the erotic perspective there. What we will get there about that meta, but I just found myself yesterday that I'm watching all this movement above me, and then I was thinking about lots of problems that was going in my life without really thinking that I want to. I was really perceiving your art, but somehow in the background of my head, I just noticed of lots of fractions that was going in my head. And then I remembered this very specific sentence of my uncle who doesn't believe in therapy. But it was very interesting perspective he had. I was telling him, yeah, I'm doing therapy 5 years ago. And he was like, why? I was like, yeah, well, like, I mean, what do you mean? Like, yeah, generational trauma that we're giving generations after generations to each other. And he said, when you do therapy, it's like kind of taking a brick outside of a building and then racking them up again. And until you do it, it's very not a really stable structure. And this really kind of resonated with what you pictured there. So I would like to talk a little bit about the meta of what is this connection for you between the movements and the structure you built with the research that you had behind.
First of all, I hope that you didn't feel alone, because that's the wish in the piece, and that's the moment I love the most, because when people get in, they are sitting quite tight at the beginning. Everybody is very careful about the other person's legs and shoulders and, personal space. And you give them 10 minutes, they will be all like, that's what I see mostly when I see this piece, of course. I look at people, and that's what I enjoy. That's the moment that people are really becoming like, one. And today was very overcrowded, but yeah, this becoming one body and going through this journey. I'm really happy that there was a space for your thoughts, because that's my wish. Again, I don't work alone, and I don't want my piece be a manifest that no one can talk or think even during so I really, that's my dream, that the audience have a space to think, to add, to adjust, to go through stuff. And I don't know, basically like when you look at a waterfall, there's nothing happening, it's just happening. But then you can sit there and watch and think and go through all your therapy sessions, and which I enjoy. And that's, I hope that there is a space for thinking, because I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about trauma, basically. What I know is that it's good to heal it collectively. It's good to have a space to go through it. And yeah. And also, when it becomes so, in Norwegian, we say bokstavelig, it's like one-to-one. Yeah? Literally. When it becomes so literally, like, this is, oh, they are jumping again and again, and we are all into this box, and it's like, it's just what it is. It's the waterfall.
No, I think it's this, regardless if you had an intensive research into how to like what is a trauma and what it does to the body. It's like you really can see it in this repetitive movement that is going on there, and the uncertainty. And I mean, also the narratives you're talking about is implemented in these two bodies that are constantly jumping, and they're kind of having a combination together, or a bigger system
I
together.
mean, I always have a research. I don't know, I don't call it a research because I'm not a researcher. And whenever I enter the studio, I mean, I probably have a fetish for studying theories and going through stuff, and like, you know, like all of us, you know, modern artists, like going through all the references that everybody is going through. But whenever I enter the studio, I'm like, okay, can you please be out? Now I'm gonna work. But then they are there in the back of my mind, and many times we share it with our group also, the reading materials. But we never. It's. I mean, it's dance. It's body. It's not. And I have a wish because, okay, I'm not the master read. I'm not the person who reads the most, but what I have read and what I am reading, I don't find what I'm looking for. And I have a wish that maybe what we make is smarter than what we read in a group. Like, in a way, you say, I like to say that maybe the art that comes out is a little smarter than what I can be. And there is a wish. I don't know.
My last question, and then I would open it to the audience, and it's about a person that is really present in your work, but is not with us today. I'm not talking about Jesus, but I mean, Jesus is always with us. I'm talking about the person who made your music.
Yeah, Lycurgus. We met in front of the entrance of the school. He was smoking, I was eating my apple. And he was Ronak's classmate.
Nepotism.
Ma-
Nepotism.
Yes. So I was studying dance. My sister was doing fine art at the same school, and I had the chance to hang out with the fine art people because my academy was, you know, dancers, they go home, sleep, take care of their bodies, and it was very white. So there was something that they had, it's called Academy of Foreigners. I joined. I met most of my colleagues there after. Liko is albino. He is not seeing more than 10%. He is 90% blind. So when working, this is our first work. We have made already one more for the National Company of Norway, and then we are making the new one together. So we are constantly collaborating. And while working with this piece, we were sitting under the trampoline and we were recording the voice of trampoline to make the sound, because we wanted the trampoline to be the drummer of the music. And then, so the jumps and the movements are not made to look great. They are made to make the sound that they are supposed to make. I mean, I cheated a little bit, but basically. At the end, I was like, I needed to look googly. So, yeah. So, but the problem there was that I had to explain for Liko how I see, because it's also a big contrast. And if you're so in the new piece that we are working, we are doing the opposite. Liko is telling me what he sees from what I make. So we are adjusting the dance to what he can see of it. I don't know how to explain this working relationship that is really important, but he has been a big inspiration for me. Also because his aesthetic is quite different. He's more punk and a lot cooler than me. And and rough and you know. So I think my Googly needs a little bit this from the outside. But there is also one more person that is not here, but it's very important, not for this piece, but for basically everything. I will be super fast.
So,
It's a little, again, googly because it's my sister. I had a chance. Yeah, that one.
she's with us. What did you
Yeah.
say? She's not here.
No, like with us in this project.
Ah,
That's the only project she's not working with me, actually. But my chance of being able to looking at her work from outside constantly gave a lot of inspiration to my work until I admitted when I was 34 that we should officially collaborate. But she's working constantly with narratives, framing, who is who watching who, and so this has been always it's great that I have had the chance to look at her working at her studio and look at all the frames. I work a lot with frames and framing, and we talked about it. I make all the frames one by one. There is no accident.
Yeah, she showed me her. This was this book. She was just showing me her basically découpage, if you want to call it like that. She's very talented in painting and doodling. Pun intended. It was horrible, but you could see what was going on. I have another question, which is very important, but I also had a very important question from Ali Moini's night, but I didn't. So I think I'm just going to keep it like that and open it to the audience and then somehow squeeze the question in. Maybe I just whisper it to someone's ear that you need to ask that. Does anyone want to ask a question from the audience? It's fine, you can ask. I will find my place to ask my own question from Roza. I'm going to come and take the microphone from you, and till I make this path to the other side, I would advertise that I also do birthday shows, Khatm Surun, Khatm Quran, if you can book me in private parties.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure to watch the piece. I had a question about what you were saying about basically my question about how do you adjust the different versions of the piece, because you said that there were different versions of it. To my eye, like it could have been a more claustrophobic experience if the container was closed, and you said that at the beginning that was the point, even to have this contrast of the more absorbed on the top and then feeling of like more heavy feeling when you go inside a closed container, and the screen could have been like a total screen, like the trampoline net could have been like a screen, cinematic screen at night. So at some point you said that it's quite important for you how the audience would perceive and relate to the piece. How far you could go to adjust the piece for the sake of them relating to it, or how do you measure that relation actually, because it's quite vague, right?
Not so far. They have also asked us to reduce the length of the performance many times, and I said no. It has been asked to make a version with lower music, and I said no. But then there is we tried it with the boat door closed at the beginning. Honestly, it was hard for myself to be in it. And then I thought I could never put anyone through this because I can't stand it myself. Then we kept one door on each side closed in the original version. That was much better. It made more focus. But then at the time, nobody really cared what I make. So it was not so many audiences. Later on, it was more people. Here we are very in a privileged place that is very quiet. If it's in the center of the city, it would be mayhem around it, like people coming, wanting to go in. And, yeah. I felt a little bit, again, shy to spend so much of common money of a society, put it in the center, and then closing the door. Like, it felt, so when they asked the first years, I said no, but then later on I said yes, because I wanted to be more inclusive so more people could see it. But then in many festivals we have different version, like one relaxed version, like here, and then we have other versions that are happening with a closed door, and we have a night version, which is then we have trigger warning for the night version because you don't see the net at all, and it's hardcore. I like it, I love it, but yeah. Yeah. Was it an answer?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there another question in the room? Another question 10, another question 9. There's another. Yeah, I'm going to take the microphone. I also design websites and.
No, it's a very basic question, but it's more a curiosity than anything. Because you said that it's always the same container. I was curious of how you transport it, actually. Because
Before war,
this
it was
is
much
also-
cheaper, but now it's very expensive.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's a big part of the budget for the piece. Like for
Yeah,
the project.
because I mean, containers are made for transportation, and that was one of the reasons we chose container, because it's made to be transport, and the design is in a way, it's inspired by IKEA. So everything is flat packed, goes inside. So you have a pack. It's easy, and also, I don't know if any institution believed that me when I made this, maybe I didn't go to the street and make my own institution, a small one. But no one did at the time. All the curators that were interested in me suggested that this is crazy, Rosa, don't do it. It's not going to work. But then later they wanted it, and I said, no, sorry. We have made it in a way that it can travel with train, boat. So it's okay. And the train is very efficient. And normally we try, when we travel all the way, for example, to Berlin, that we visit another city close. So it's a little more environment friendly than just going back and forth. We never do one performance. We have we call it bouncing narrative seasons. Summer is coming. The tired circus is coming out. We look like a tired circus. I wish. Yeah. Yeah, that's the... But it has become double the price after the wars.
Did you also check about the carbon footprint of the container and what's the more efficient and ecological way of moving it around?
We tried really hard. Like some of the plastic we use, we try to use the one that is reusable, and yeah. And also, I think the best way of caring for that is to care about the objects. Like how you use one thing can actually make them very sustainable. So we are lucky to have Pavel with us. He is caring for this object with love. So it doesn't need so much paint. So it doesn't need so much repair. So things can kind of survive used. And I mean, it's probably a lot. But I mean, also I think when we make art, we accept that we are making expensive garbage. Yeah.
Garbage, I second that. But is there any other question in the room? Questions? Can you give the microphone? I also do cybersecurity.
I would like to hear more about the costumes, if it's possible, the story
Yeah,
of it.
sure. Okay. When we went on the top of the trampoline, Trina was much younger. I was much younger. And then I was seeing this body up there. And it was a lot of problems. That was because normally I know what kind of art I don't want to make. I don't know what I'm going to make, but I'm sure these things, no. So I was like, oh, this, no. Woman's suffering, no. Get out of here. Like, the net and this, like. So we tried to find many ways of escaping that. One was to escaping from them being human at all. We made them being these childish superheroes, in a way, if you like, if I would draw a superhero. And then the print came about because it kind of don't let you to see the body parts as a parts. It becomes it gets more distracted. It's probably hard to see that, but if they were wearing only black, you would understand what I'm saying. And then also there are so many practicalities because the trampoline is very rough. It will take away your skin if you work on it for 2 months. So we wanted something that is thick enough. So these are dry suits, actually, like for swimming in the cold water. They are quite thick. And then we had to make holes on it because it's quite warm in the summer. Making holes on them, it's a whole science. It's not so easy. I asked my mom in a point to join this science. She has hand sewn so many of these nets through this. Yeah. And then we talked also about that my connection to reality is not so good, so I like to connect with more fictional words. So to escape reality also, we add so many things on them. Clouds, hair, mirror. Also to mess up the vision a lot. Practically, we didn't want them to be humans up there.
Ashkan is sitting like this fathers at the.
You should go to sleep.
So, but I want to strike the last question and then we stop there. And since we're talking, like it was a very good connection to the question you brought up. Thank you. I want to talk shortly about this erotic gaze that can come up in the public views because you don't have control over the audience and you don't know who goes there. So it's like kind of a conscious decision for you to set the audience underneath of your dancers. How did you deal with that? The microphone can also come to you to talk about that if you want to add anything to it.
We have this rule with in the room when we work. Everyone can say objection, which means I'm not going to do that. I don't need a reason. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to wear this costume just because I don't want to, which is completely acceptable for me.
How do you go further with that? If someone gives an objection, you need to come up with totally different alternative, or they have to come up with an alternative?
No, I go and work my ass off again. And it never happened like that. I have been lucky because we just have a conversation constantly and we ask before we buy stuff. It's like, is it okay to wear something tight? Is it okay? We have you can't believe it. There is so many movement that is not allowed in this movement, in this performance. One of them is that you never see the dancer's hand on the net because that's the moment that it becomes extremely erotic because of the net and the hand, and yeah. So that's cut it out. They are never looking down at the audience, like they are not. And the face in many of my pieces, there is no gesture at all. They are just plain. But at the end, we are humans. I can't control anything. We have also another rule when we work, which is the dancers can always stop the show, this one, due to weather or any other condition.
No questions asked. If they say no, then you
No.
would. That's very interesting. I'm very thankful that you shared this, let's say, insight into the way that you work. Also,
They can say she's not working like that,
we have these laws, but there were moments where she said, we don't want to do it. And then
Yeah,
she
like-
came with an alternative that was exactly the same, but the name was different. Yeah. Well, but like it's very interesting for me, and also like obviously you cannot control the audience. If there's a pervert coming in the room, then like you don't know. But it's like exactly because of placing the container in the city, it like makes it even extra hard because institutions like theater are very exclusive. We know that lots of people cannot get into it, which is a effed up thing about institutions that we want to change these days. But it always comes with this huge question when you want to do immersive work in a public where you can't have.
Can I add something?
Yes, sure.
please? We have another piece that we do with 17 volunteers, and that's even more. Marit is part of it, and Uda has been part of it. That's hardcore. Because you walk in the streets of, believe me, in Norway, it looks very great, it's not so great. And people shout, "We don't like people like you in our city. Get out of here." Just because we look queer-ish, I would say. Or take their children away. But we do a group decision again. There is a safe word, you can say, when we are out in the street. Sometimes it's 200, then it's stopped, no matter what. I don't know if there is other options that you can make a safer place for working outside, please. I'm curious too.
Do you have Instagram? Should people write you on Instagram, or is that an email that they should write you?
Both of them are my name, so.
Okay. So not only that, if you had any other questions, you can write them for next 48 hours, and you promise to answer the next 48 hours questions that come in. Thanks for doing that. Like this is also how you ask for consent. Obviously not. But it would be good to reach out to them. I want to thank you, your team, and also the festival to make it possible, and also the simultaneous translator, and UFI Studios, the Technicas, and all of you who came here and made it possible. There will be more stuff going on. I also do other things. Follow us, give us a subscription, like and follow. I don't know how to end this. Enjoy the rest of the night, and we see each other when we see each other.